Hello, YouTube. What's up? It's me, John Avenger, once again, and welcome to another non Marvel superhero month. And today we're talking about the classic, the first movie, the movie that started it all, the film that launched the superhero genre pretty much into the stratosphere. And it's the original 1978 classic, Superman the movie. Yeah, this is the extended edition. I'm not going to talk about that because I didn't see it yet, but I have seen the theatrical cut of this awesome Richard Donner classic. Now, Superman the movie, I saw it when I was a kid. I saw this on TV. They gave it a lot back in the day. They would give it on like Channel 11 or like on Fox or on other cable channels, like the Sci-Fi Channel or like Spike TV. And whenever they gave it, I would watch it because it's a classic movie. I love the way the film looks. A lot of people say in my reviews that I do say the same thing. So in this one, I'm going to try to say things differently. So I don't just say that I don't sound repetitive. But anyway, I shouldn't care about what certain people think. It's my YouTube channel and I'll say what I want. But this movie undeniably is a classic, the original Superman movie from 1978. Now, I love the cast just like in the second movie. It's pretty much the same cast except for there's less Brando in it, and I don't know who's in the first one that's not in the sequels. I think maybe some of the side characters, yeah. But this movie's iconic. Like everybody knows the story about Superman. He's a baby from Krypton that gets sent in a rocket off of the planet. The planet dies and blows up, and he's sent to Earth as a baby. And two people find him, which is Martha, from BVS. That's funny. Martha and Jonathan Kent, and they find him and they raise him as their boy, and he develops powers. He's an awesome character, Clark Kent slash Kal-El is seeing him go from a baby to a boy and then a teenager and then to an adult, and he becomes Christopher Reeve, who was tailor made to play Superman. This actor was the reason to watch the original film. Like no other actor I could see play that role better than him because he just sold it like a champ. And he has the look, he has the voice, he has the presence, and he hasn't been topped in the last almost 40 years as Superman. The only one that played Superman before him was George Reeves in the 1950s. Now, like I said, I love the scale of this movie. It's a very long movie, but I'm not going to say it's too long because that's insulting, especially since it was the first of its kind. It was the first Superman movie in the theater, major studio film by Warner Brothers, and it's a great movie. Like I love this movie. I know I didn't put this in my top 10 favorite superhero films because I didn't have the copy of the film yet, and also I hadn't seen it in years. But if I did like a top 50 or 100, it would be there. It deserves it. It's rightfully so. There's so many positives with this movie. Great cast: Margot Kidder, Christopher Reeve, Terrence Stamp, Gene Hackman, Jackie Cooper. That's I think Perry White, Ned Beatty, Glenn Ford, Trevor Howard, Valerie Perrine, Phyllis Thaxter, Suzanne York, and of course Mark McClure as Jimmy Olsen. It's just iconic. I mean, I remember the first time I saw him rescue the plane, which has been homaged in other films like Superman Returns and the Supergirl TV show as well. Homage that scene, and yeah, it's a great scene, and he's like, "Oh, just keep flying," and it's a great scene to show his powers off, and it's a great iconic scene that will live on for generations. And also, you remember the scene where he drills a hole in the middle of the street. The first time the people see him in the city, and he's like, "That's a bad outfit." The first time you hear that iconic John Williams score, and this was all his score in the first movie. John Williams' score is absolutely amazing. I said it in the second movie and also, in the other films. That score is the Superman theme. I cannot think of a better Superman theme than that. I like the 90s cartoon theme. There were some good themes for Superman and also in the Lois and Clark TV show, but the best will always be that iconic Superman theme from the films because it's a build up to a great freaking movie. And they said, and the tagline for the movie was "You will believe a man can fly," and they pulled it off. Yes, some of I'll say something that I have not said yet. Some of the special effects are dated, but because it's the film of its time from the 70s. They didn't have CGI like they did in Man of Steel. They didn't have blue screen or green screen or any computer technology at that time to make that happen. But the way the flying sequences are still great when you see Christopher Reeve flying, and it's just a breathtaking experience. It's the first time he sees Lois and saves her from a building. It's a cliche, yes, but it's iconic. And she's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "A friend." Yeah, Christopher Reeve, let's face it, was a friend to all moviegoers that loved his work as Superman. And I miss him. Rest in peace, Christopher Reeve. I know you passed away over 10 years ago, but I still watch these films and I still miss you, man. I'm glad your work is still with us because you'll never be forgotten. And it's just an iconic movie. I love this movie. It's a great superhero film. Gene Hackman is just, he's eating it up. He's chewing up scenery in a good way, and he's just having a ball as the villain. The first time he shows the kryptonite to Superman, it's like, "I found your weakness, ha ha!" And it's just a great performance. I didn't say this in the second movie, but Valerie Perini that plays Miss Tessmacher, beautiful woman. I would say that I still prefer Lois because she's a brunette and she's in more films, but I like her. I think she's really cute, and she gets to kiss Superman in like the third act when he's drowning in the pool. And she's a lovely young lady. I liked her in the film. Ned Beatty was fine as as what you call it, Gene Hackman's lackey. And of course, there's Zod. They show him in the first film. Not He's not the main villain, but he's in it, and so is Ursa. And just it's a great film. Like it's a long movie. It's 2 hours. This is the extended cut. 2 hours and 2.5 hours, just like the first two Harry Potter films. I would give this the pass because it's a film from the 1970s. Movies nowadays should not be over 2.5 hours when they don't need to be. Sometimes a running time can be short and sweet. You don't need to make a film 2 hours and 30 minutes. It doesn't need it. Sometimes there's not enough story, even for 2.5 hours. Sometimes an hour and 50 minutes or an hour and 30 minutes or an hour and 40 minutes is fine. If it's 2 hours even, then fine. But when I feel a long running time, that's when it bothers me the most. This was a long movie, people, but I was never bored. Superman the movie is a long movie. There's a lot of build up for him becoming Superman. But unlike Man of Steel, where I was so bored and it was just, I don't like the look of the film. It's just so dark and dreary. I'm like, no, this film is light and it needs to be. And you got your Boy Scout who saves people and has a smile on his face and is full of life. That's what I miss about movies nowadays. A lot of these films nowadays want to be dark and gritty, and they miss the point of a film to show the essence of life and to learn something from it. What am I going to learn from a freaking Star Wars movie that's soulless and boring and that I didn't learn in the originals that had soul to it? This movie has soul to it. This symbol was hope. And Warner Brothers stripped that away when they made Man of Steel. They made it some pregnant S that's gonna ready to explode like a pimple. This was how it started, and this movie will be iconic forever, no matter how many Superman movies they make from now until 2030. And Christopher Reeve is Superman. He's always going to be the best in cinema history. The man wore the cut tights. He did not complain about it. He went for it. He worked his ass off, and he did 4 films. That's more than Cavill's gonna do. Cavill's only done what, 2, and he's doing a third one, and we don't. And he's barely in the marketing for Justice League. But anyway, enough of that. That's another movie. Superman the movie is iconic. Are there flaws? Like I said, some of the effects are dated, some of them, and I think you can watch the theatrical cut. It's not going to make much of a difference. I think the extended cut's like only a few minutes longer, so it's not a completely different cut like the Donner cut. But it's a great movie. I think the film is light and fun. It's energetic, and when the action sequences happen, they're really entertaining, and the movie just it blows you away. Like this is a movie that after you watch it, you want to watch it again or watch the sequels because it's just breathtaking, and the score just adds to every scene that it's in. That beautiful John Williams score. And I couldn't be happier with this film. I love this film. I loved it as a kid. It made me a fan of the character. I watched all of the films with Christopher Reeve. I even enjoy Superman Returns for as flawed as it is. It still has that awesome score. Granted, it's not John Williams, but it still sounds like John Williams' score. At least sound like it. And the film is really well done. Like it's a film for its time and of all time. And next year is going to be 40 years old. It is held up very well when it comes to the production. Like they actually had sets, they had real locations, they had real people doing this. There were no computer generated images. There was a lot of balance between some serious moments and some really uh, light and fun moments, and they meshed well together. It wasn't like so dark that I'm like, oh yeah, the movie's over. I want to slit my wrist because there is a dark moment. Also, yeah, like I said with the Donner cut, I don't like the ending with the spinning the world around. That was stupid. No matter how you cut it, that is a stupid scene. That Lois dies in a car accident by a rock slide, and he's like, ah, great acting performance by Christopher Reeve. I'm not gonna take that away from him, but then he has to go around in circles like 50 times to reverse it from happening. I'm like, it's kind of a cop out ending. It's like, oh, we don't want Lois to die, so we have to bring her back that way. I'm like, well, how else would I have done it? I don't know, either time travel through another way, or I don't know, or he goes to another dimension and then changes the clock or something like that. I would have liked that better. Doing the around the world thing is just, it's kind of dumb, but it doesn't take away from the film because the rest of the film is really solid. Solid performances, solid story. The story is the meat of the freaking film. Without it, it would just be some generic guy flying that we don't care about. But DC at the time made me care about this character, and I really enjoy Superman the movie. And if you guys have not seen the original Superman, watch it. I highly recommend it. It's not a film that's like boring and and tedious. The build up is all you need. The first hour is build up, and it pays off in the second hour. And the film is very well done. And for all the haters that say that I'm repetitive, well, fuck you off. This movie is iconic. There's a reason it's one of the best superhero films of all time. And thanks to this movie, we got Batman in '89 by Tim Burton. We got the Marvel movies, which came out like a decade later, like in the '90s with Blade, and then in the 2000s with X-Men. This is the film that really brought it front and center, because before this we had the 1960s Batman movie, and that was about it. And there were like Flash Gordon and other things, but there wasn't a really big superhero film in the theaters. And then this movie came out. Richard Donner brought it home, and I thank him for that, and the cast, and the writers, and everybody involved. Mario Puzo, yeah, he wrote it, and thank Jerry Siegel, the man who created the character in the comics. It's a great comic book movie. It's a great DC movie. It's one of the best superhero films ever made from its time. With the budget that they had, every single cent is on the screen. Even the dated effects, it still works. I'll take dated effects over shitty CGI effects where the flying sequences are shaky, you can't see what's going on. The fight scenes are way too frenetic, and it's not enjoyable. It's like it's so fast. I'm like, "Oh, it's over already?" Really? You can't take your time with a fight scene? Everything's got to be so, like freaking, chaotic. I'm like, "No." And also that ending of Man of Steel just made me so upset. This one, while it's stupid, at least it serves a purpose. So take that for what you will, but at least there wasn't a lot of collateral damage in Superman the movie. It's untouchable. It's one of the best superhero films that there is. It is the definition of a superhero movie, and it paid off in spades. And I love this movie. That's all I can say. Anyway, that's my review of the original Superman the movie, not the extended cut because I haven't seen it yet, and it's probably you know long enough. I'll watch it sometime next week, and like the Donner cut of the Superman 2, it's a really well done movie, and it's held up. And my DC fans are going to get a huge kick out of it if they haven't seen it, because it defines a character. It's a classic of cinema. It's a legendary film, and that score will always put me in a good mood. I listen to that score. I'm like, I love that score. Thank you, John Williams. Thanks. Thank you and your orchestra for making an iconic freaking musical score that will live on forever. Thank you guys for watching. I gotta go to bed soon because I gotta wake up early in the morning. I got more Harry Potter films to see in my college, and then I'm gonna move on next week to more stuff. So anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching.